is not accurate. I may be saying something surprising for you, my brothers, because we are raised with the feeling that every surah has a certain thing. These are not the words of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are not a hadith. Imam, subhanallah, actually there was a question to, probably you may remember him, inshallah, the ex-mufti, passed away, Ibn Baz of Saudi Arabia, a great scholar, and Ibn Uthaymin. And what they said, subhanallah, there is no hadith, I look at my word, there is no hadith that we have about Surah Yasin, the value, the fadila of Surah Yasin, which is hadith sahih. All the ahadith, they use the word all, the ahadith are either fabricated, called in Arabic mawdu', or da'if, weak. All the ahadith that has been said about Surah Yasin. So I'm not talking about something else, Al-Baqarah or Al-Fatiha, about Surah Yasin. And this is what they said. Not only that, Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah, one of the greatest scholars, which is he worked a lot in the hadith, and he has his book As-Silsilatu Sahiha and As-Silsilatu Al-Da'ifa, the chain of the accurate Sahih hadith and the chain of the weak hadith. And he also confirmed the same thing and saying all the ahadith that were narrated about Surah Yasin are either da'if, weak, or fabricated. Not even one single hadith which is sahih about Surah Yasin. Does it mean we should not read it? I didn't say that. He did not say that. Nobody said that. And I said in the beginning, the Quran Al-Kareem was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Allah told us the Quran is shifa, is huda, is nur, is rahmah, and all what you said. But to take one specific surah and you say this one is for this one, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not say this about Surah Yasin. And I'm very clear about that. I'm talking only about Surah Yasin. Now, Imam Al-Albani, as I mentioned, he brought even those ahadith and he mentioned them. And he said, these are the ahadith that we have. So he said, number one, which is one that we read all the time. إن لكل شيء قلبا وقلب القرآن ياسين من قرأها فكأنما قرأ القرآن 10 مرات. Everything has a heart. And the heart of the Quran is Yasin. Whoever recited it, just like he recited the Quran 10 times. No, the hadith is not sahih. Another one. من قرأ سورة ياسين في ليلة أصبح مغفورا له. Whoever recites Surah Yasin in the night, in the morning he will be with maghfurullah. He will be forgiven. The hadith is not sahih. Another one. من داوم على قراءتها كل ليلة ثم مات شهيدا. Whoever continuously reading Surah Yasin every night and then he passed away, he died as a shaheed. It's not sahih. Hold on again. Does it mean we should not read it? I did not say that. Nobody said that. Can I read it? Of course, you should. But do not give to something which is not. Don't mix this. There's a difference between reading the Quran every day, every night. It's beautiful, it's rewardable, it's rahmah, it's mercy. And to say that this surah is for such thing. Because you cannot specify that unless it comes from the mouth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is not anything but only deen, the deen. And the deen, it will be taken only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul. No one has the right to add something or subtract something from the deen. Because the deen was revealed to us, all of it, kamil and tam. All completed and all perfect. No one has no right to add. I know some people say, but this is incorrigible. When you tell someone read Quran is good, it's okay. But when you tell him, if you read it, you get this much, oh, you are actually encouraging that person. We say, hold on. Aren't you lying? Or no, you are lying. You cannot lie on behalf of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam just because you want to encourage someone. If this action of encouraging someone by putting something, it is a good thing, then Rasulullah would have done it. Yes? Do you think Rasulullah missed it? He was not as smart as we are or who they are? No, it's not. So we have to be very careful regarding this matter. There are more ahadiths, especially another one. من دخل المقابر فقرأ سورة ياسين خفف عنهم يومئذ وكان له بعدد من فيها حسنات. Say whoever entered the graveyard and then he recited Surah Yasin, خفف عنهم. So the adab, they will be lighter on the people who are in the graves, subhanallah. And he will have the good deeds, subhanallah. This hadith is being mentioned in the book of Ibn al-Jawzi from al-Mawdu'at, meaning the fabricated ahadith. And in another book, Al-Fawaid al-Majmu'a li-Shawkani, subhanallah. Not only that, there's another hadith. Yasin lima quri'at lah. Yasin lima quri'at lah. Meaning, Yasin is for whatever you read it for. If I read it for ilm, it will help me. If I read it for shifa, it will help me. If I read it for marriage, it will help me. No, no such thing. Hadith is not sahih. Subhanallah. And some people, they put this question. But some people, they have what we call tajreeb, mujarrab. They tried it. And that's what most of the people will say. Say, I try it. You don't believe it? Okay, but I try it and I believe it. So how we answer to that, subhanallah. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he wrote also a small note about that. And he said, number one, Rasulullah didn't tell us about it. Right? There's no such thing. So if a person tried that and it came true, what do we say about that? Is it because of that? No, it's not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by reading that surah or by not reading that surah, would that happen or would not happen to you? It will happen because the aqdar is already been written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happened? The coincidence that you read that and it happened. And then you started relating that to that. Or you know what? Go further. We know a lot of Hindus, right? They also have a certain ritual things. They wash themselves in a certain river, and then they connected that with something. Or even the Muslims, by the way, a lot of them, they go to the graveyards, or they go to the darih, the wali, the mazar. And they have a lot of belief. If I go to a certain person, I know my thing will be done. I'm from Morocco and we have many sites in different cities. And each one, it's specifically for something. They say, oh, if a woman is not getting married, if she goes to that one, definitely she will get married. If a woman is not giving birth, definitely if she goes to that one, she will give birth. So they will go, and sometimes it happens. So what they will say, it is because of that. Because of that person? He could be, of course, a pious person, but it doesn't mean that he's the one who did it. Going back again, because it's a long topic. Surah Yasin, there are no ahadith sahiha about it. It's either fabricated or weak hadith. And when I say weak hadith, it means something. Fabricated, no one will accept it at all, because it means someone made it up. Weak hadith is something different. What does it mean? That the narration of the hadith has some weaknesses. One of the chain of the person who narrated the hadith, the scholars did not have trust in that person. Maybe what he said is okay, maybe it's not. But when it comes to the deen, we have enough ahadith sahiha from the book of Sahih, as a Bukhari and Muslim, and so that we have enough about it. But what happened? We love this way of, if you do such thing, you get such thing. So that's number one. I just wanted to have this a little introduction about Surah Yasin. Now, Surah Yasin, it's one of the surahs al-Makkiyah. So it was revealed in Mecca. So it talks about the topics of Mecca. It talks about the mi'ad, about the hereafter. It talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one. It talks about the reward in the hereafter, subhanallah. And those the ayah it talks about it, subhanallah. And it started with this word, Yasin. And this is, we call it, we explained that many times, just a reminder, al-huruf al-muqatta'a, the broken letters. Like in the beginning of Al-Baqarah, Alif, Lam, Mim, or Al-Imran, Alif, Lam, Mim, and so on. So what happened about those? We explained and we said the scholars have different explanation, but no one can claim that this is the truth about the explanation. Why? Because if it's not narrated from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we cannot take it. But it's an open field for the people to search and to find out. It's a deep ocean, which is people had a lot of things, subhanallah. So now the meaning of Surah Yasin, or the word Yasin, a lot of people, they have also different word regarding this matter. Some of them, they said that it is a qasam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he swears and he say Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim, by the Quran al-Hakim. And they said Yasin, it's one of the names of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Now, did Rasulullah said that? No, Rasulullah didn't say that. Rasulullah never said that one of my names is Yasin. But it's narrated from Sa'id ibn Jubayr, from the Tabi'een. He said that the word Yasin, it's one of the names of Rasulullah, and he gave an explanation. He said, Yasin wal Quran al-Hakim innaka lamin al-mursalin. For sure you are one of the messengers. So it means you, Muhammad, by the Quran al-Karim, you are one of the messengers. So it's one of his interpretation. It's an opinion of Tabi'i and one of the greatest of the Tabi'een. Another explanation by an Imam, his name is Abu Bakr al-Warraq, said, Yasin ma'nahu, meaning, Ya Sayyid al-Bashar, O you the master of all mankind. Another one, Yasin, it means insan, O you man, is like Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling his prophet, O you the man, by the Quran al-Karim, you are one of the messengers. But one interesting one, which is again, it's the Imam al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, he brought it in his Tafseer, and he said, Imam Malik rahimahullah, Imam Darul Hijrah, he said, Yasin is one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for that reason, Imam Malik kariha an yusamma bihi al-insan. He take it as a makruh, he didn't like it. He didn't like that you name someone Yasin. Why? Because he say it's one of Allah's names. Again, it's the opinion of Imam Malik. So it's not the wording of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember again, when we say the opinion of one person, we have all the respect of that person. And his opinion is better than my opinion and the scholar's opinion. But that opinion is always questionable. Why? Because it's not the wording of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Malik rahimahullah himself says, and by the way, when you say Imam Malik, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ Malik, they used to say Malikun mitlu najm. Malik is like the star. The reason is, he was the person, the Imam, the Mufti of Al-Madinah for more than 60 years. And he used to sit in the manbar of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Masjid al-Nabawi for more than 60 years. And he said himself about what I just said, he said, كُلٌّ يُؤْخَذُ مِنْهُ وَيُرَدُّ عَلَيْهِ. Everyone, we can take some from him and we could reject from what he said. إِلَّا صَاحِبُ هَذَا الْقَبْرِ. He said, except the one who is in that qabr. Because when he sits in his manbar, the qabr of Rasulullah is in front of him, subhanallah. So everyone, we could take his opinion, we could reject it, we could discuss it. He's a human being, he's a big scholar, his opinion is better than ours. But the only person that we cannot reject his opinion, I mean his words, is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the Quran tells us, Yasin wal Qur'ani al Hakim. One thing also interesting that I wanted to share with you is this huruf al-muqatta'a. I'm sure each time I bring something different. And this is also something that I wanted to share with you. One of the mufassirin from Egypt passed away, rahimahullah. His name is Muhammad al-Sha'rawi, very famous scholar in Egypt. And each time he comes with something very, very, very interesting. He said, if we look at this huruf al-muqatta'a, these broken letters that are mentioned in the Quran, he said, there is a secret behind it. It cannot just be like that. And one of the famous mufassirin, his name is Al-Imam Al-Razi, and he has a very, very interesting tafsir called Mafatih al-Ghayb, the keys of the unseen. He said, everything in the Quran has a meaning and is a secret. Those secrets, sometimes Allah gives the chance for a person to know it, some He does not. Going back, so he said about these broken letters, Sha'rawi, he said, if we count the alphabets of the Arabic language are 28. 28 letters. And then he divided them into 3 categories. The first 9, the second 9, and 10. 9 and 9 and 10. That's 28, right? You're good in math. And he said, if you look at the first, subhanallah, 9 letters, it comes from the alif to a dhal. And he said, from the first 9 letters, only 2 letters are being taken and used in this huruf al-muqatta'a, and they are the alif and the ha. The first 9 letters in the alphabets, only the alif and ha. The other one are not. Ba, ta, tha, jim. No, it's not, subhanallah. And then he said, the other part, the second 9, it starts from the fa. And these ones, it's the opposite. Those 9s, 7 are taken and only 2 are not taken. So the first 9, 2 are taken and 7 are being not taken. The second 9, 7 are taken and 2 are not taken, subhanallah. So they are using the qaf and al-kaf and the lam, al-mim, al-noon, al-ha, al-ya, and then they are not using fa and waw. There's no harf from huruf al-muqatta'a in as a fa or a waw. The last 10, subhanallah, he said, the last 10, and it starts from the harf al-ra until the harf al-ghayn. And he said, it has something different. What is it? He said, all those huruf are taken except the letters that have dots. The letter that have dots, subhanallah. And then he said that's Ar-Ra and Sin and Sad, At-Ta and Ain, and they are not taking Zay and Sheen and Dad, Al-Dha and Ghayn. So when he said this, he said, is it just a coincidence that it is taken this way and this sequence and this pattern? He said, no, it's not. What's the secret? He said, I just don't know. Probably Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give someone else the ability to know. Moving on. Yasin wal Qur'ani al Hakim. Let me go back again. Does it mean we should not read Surah Yasin? No, read Surah Yasin. Can I read Surah Yasin before I sleep? Yes, do read it. Can I read Surah Yasin on myself? Yes. Can I read something when I'm driving? Yes. There is no harm. The harm is there when you started connecting something with something and thinking that way. I said only if there is a confirmation from Rasulullah, yes. If there's no confirmation from Rasulullah, it is a no. Yasin wal Qur'an al Hakim. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, by the Qur'an al Hakim. The word Quran, if you look at the word Quran, the Quran, which is, we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought many names, and He named the Quran many things, subhanAllah. It's not only the word Quran. We know the word Quran in Arabic language, it comes from the word qara'a, to read. And it's a book which is supposed to be read. We read it all the time. Even when it was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was read by Jibreel to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he read it to the Sahaba. And we're supposed to read it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told us to read the Quran in many places, subhanallah. The Quran is being called Quran, is called being kitab, so it's supposed to be also written. It's been called qirtas, something which is you written in the paper. It's huda, it's guidance, it's nur, it's light. So the Quran was being described with many things. But here, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the Quran al-Hakim. And al-Hakim, it comes from the word hikmah, wisdom. And what is actually wisdom? According to the scholars who put a definition for the hikmah, they said, the Hakim, he is the one who puts the right thing on the right place in the right time. The right thing in the right place in the right time. I may have something which is valuable, but I don't know where to put it and where to put it. Right? And that's actually the biggest one, subhanAllah. We all have a lot of skills and a lot of abilities, but how do we use our abilities? Or we all have ni'mas from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ni'mah of aql, the eyesight, and the wealth, the health, the children. But how do we use them? That's what it defined the hikmah. He is wise and he is not wise, subhanallah. But something very interesting about the language of the Arab. And again, it's not because I am an Arab, but all the scholars, they mentioned this. They said, the understanding of the language, it helps you to understand the meaning of the Quran. And look at this word, hikmah or hakim. So this scholar, again, he came up with something so interesting. He said, you know the word hikmah? It comes from a word called al-hakama. And what is actually al-hakama? You know, when we have a horse, I don't know how to call that in English, we put something on the face to handle that. How is that called? Anyway, in Arabic we call it hakama. And they said why they call it Arab, they call it hakama, because it is the one to control the horse. To control the horse from running, speeding, less. So it does control the speed and the gestures. So they said it means the brain that controls you. And that tells you what to do, what not to do, when to run, when not to run, when to speed, or not to speed. So this Quran is like a hakama for all of us. It controls our desires. It controls our feeling. It controls everything about us, subhanAllah. And something also interesting, which is, it's amazing how some people are so deep in understanding this. So this Sha'rawi scholars, he said he was sometimes in San Francisco, and they had an interesting dialogue between them and some of the scholars in America. And they said to them, they said to him, how do you say that those people who invented so many good things for the humanity, the light, the medicine, a lot of things which has helped the humanity, how come you are saying those people are going to the hellfire? Why do you think they are going to the hellfire just because they are not Muslims? And this person has a very interesting and amazing answer. Again, each time he has a different answer, but this time it was really interesting. He said those people, when they invented something, what was the purpose for them to invent that? The purpose for them is it what? So they could become famous. And they became famous. When you're talking about the one who invented something, you say, oh, his name is always mentioned. And whenever, oh, that's the great. So he wanted such a thing. He wanted to be famous. He wanted to be rich. He wanted to be. So he said he's already been paid and compensated for what he did. He did it for a purpose, for a reason, and he got that. So why you want to reward him with Jannah, which is he was not thinking about it? Or why you want to reward him with something which is he never wanted? And if you tell him, oh, you know what, if you finish fixing that, I'm going to give you Jannah, he will tell you what? In this life. What are you talking, Jannah? I don't want your Jannah. I don't believe in your Jannah. Give me something else. That's what he will say. Because he does not believe in Jannah. For him, Jannah is fairy tale. For him, Jannah is just crazy stories. Right? Now, in the hereafter, you say, no, let's reward him with Jannah. It does not make sense. And then he gave a beautiful example. And this is the most interesting example. He said, a master, he called his servant. And he said to his servant, there's a big stone, huge big stone. And he said, I want you to carry that one. And he said, I cannot carry it. He said, okay, so what do you want? He said, I cannot carry it. It's too heavy for me to carry it. And it's true. It's too heavy for him to carry it. And then he said, if I bring someone, he said, yeah, you could bring someone to help me, but I don't know if I can. Then he said to him, if you carry it, you are going to find under it, let's say, $10,000. You could take it. So that servant or that slave, now, he started to have more power. He was able to carry it. I don't know how he got that strength, but he was able to carry it. He said, you see now, the reward, right? He told him, this is your reward if you do such thing. Now, this is your reward if you do something. So let me put it this. Allah told him, the master told him, if you carry that stone, take $10,000. The second one, if you carry that stone, I'll be pleased with you. So the first one, he's not interested in it. The second one, he's interested in it. He said, that's exactly what happened to all of us. Whenever there's an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is saying to you, if you do this, you're going to please me. I'll be happy with you. Right? So we will see your action. The other one, if you do this, this is what you'll get. So the human being in general, now, whenever there's an intensive for them, and you tell them, if you do this, you get this, they will run and they will do it. But how many people are among them, they will do something to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And we see in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this question of pleasing Allah is always there. Whoever does such thing, it is for such thing. As the very famous hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَلِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. Right? Every action, right, depends on the niyyah, the intention. And then he said, فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Whoever did hijrah for the sake of Allah and His Rasul, right, for the pleasure of Allah and His Rasul, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَجْرَ إِلَيْهِ. So his hijrah is for that. He migrated for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul. So that's what you're going to get. وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى دُنْيَا يُصِيبُهَا أَوْ امْرَأَةٍ يَتَزَوَّجُهَا فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. But someone, he did the migration, but for what? For dunya. So he got something. Or for because of a woman. So he will get that. And that's exactly what happened with each one of us. We could play games to ourselves. Sometimes we even convince ourselves. We make a lie and we believe that lie. But yeah, I am doing this for that. But actually you're not. The heart tells you. And you know when is that very important for you to know? Whenever there are two different opinions between you and someone. And then we will see that opinion, how does it work? Is that opinion because of the sake of Allah or because of you? How many times we realize that the opinion of the other person is right, and I just have to come down and accept it. And most of the time it's very difficult. I will finish with this statement of Imam al-Shafi'i. And whenever I think about it, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know how such a person, he was able to reach such level of piety. He said, he swears by Allah, Imam Shafi'i, and he doesn't need to swear, by the way, to prove himself. He said, by Allah, whenever I have any kind of argument with someone, and it happened to Imam Shafi'i because he had to argue with a lot of people, subhanAllah, among the Mu'tazila, among the people who had different madhab. And he said, I swear, whenever I had any argument with anyone, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put the haqq on his tongue, not on my tongue. And the reason is, he said, if Allah put the haqq on his tongue, it is easy for me to acknowledge and analyze it, and I will follow him. But if the haqq is in my tongue, it will be difficult for him to follow me. How many of us could have this opinion or this kind of thinking that, you know what, I want the other person to be right, so I will be corrected? It's actually the opposite. Always you find a room how to convince yourself first and the other one that he is wrong and you are right. And that's a part of our ego inside of us, which is, it harms a lot. It does harm a lot. From the very beginning, this life, it started with that. The very first sin and mistake that was made on earth, it was because of that. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ. Why he did not prostrate? He said, أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِنْهُ, I am better than him. That's the problem for him. And he started giving an excuse. أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِنْهُ. Number one, I refuse to prostrate, although you told me, because I'm better than him. And then he said, خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. I refuse to prostrate to him because I'm better than him. You created him from clay and you created me from fire. It means I am better than him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all of us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all of us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make a Quran a reason for us, for cure, for shifa, for guidance, for huda, for nur, for light, for rahmah, for mercy, and all of us and our parents, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan. If you have any questions or comments, otherwise we'll make dua. Okay, so there is a hadith that says, اقرأوا ياسين على موتاكم. Read Surah Yasin for the people who are dying. I said this hadith is not sahih. It is weak hadith or fabricated hadith. Now, should I read it? Of course, yes. But not with the intention that Rasulullah told me to read it. I could read any part of the Quran for a person who is dying. So this hadith, which is very famous and a lot of people talk about it, this is what the other scholars said about it.
Any hadith that is authenticated?
Say it again.
Any hadith that is authenticated?
I don't see, there is no hadith which is sahih mentioned. Okay, make it very simple. Try to find in Sahih al-Bukhari or Muslim a hadith about Surah Yasin. You will not. There are a hadith about al-Baqarah, Sahiha. There are a hadith about al-Fatiha, Sahiha. But not about Yasin. Even the very famous hadith also about Surah Al-Kahf, which is all of us we know, right? So the hadith of reciting Surah Al-Kahf, it is Sahih, but not on Friday. Rasulullah encouraged us to read Surah Al-Kahf anytime, any day, but not with this ziyada, with this adding of read it on Friday. So the hadith says read Surah Al-Kahf, right? But it doesn't say read Surah Al-Kahf specifically on Fridays. And many times we fail in this. You find hadith sahih in Bukhari, and you find another hadith not sahih in another book, but this one has a ziyada, an add-in, and you go with that ziyada, and you forgot the real hadith sahih. And this is the difference between a scholar and another scholar. Someone who wants to give you only the truth, someone who wants to give you something that you like, because you are used to it. I'm sorry, brother.
One more question about the invention. You said that they get the favor, they get the reward. What about if they don't have this intention to get the reward?
So what's their intention?
If their intention is only to help mankind.
Okay.
To help mankind just not for to get fame.
Okay. Okay. So you are talking about something idealism, which is it's very difficult. We are human beings. We are made in a way that I do this for this. I don't do it for no reason at all. Really, even yourself or me, why I do this? I do this to please Allah, to get reward, to have Jannah. I do this because I'm scared of this, right? But to say that person, he does it only for human, right? Let's believe that and say he is so pure that he's like an angel, and he said, I'm doing this only for human, right? So what he was expecting, what he was waiting for, he was only waiting that he will do it for a human, right? Now if you tell him right now, if you do this for a human being, I'm going to give you Jannah here in this world, what he will tell you? What Jannah are you talking about? I am not crazy like you. I don't believe in this unseen. Take an atheist and you tell him, okay, you did great, so I am giving you the good news that you're going to be in heaven. He will laugh and he say, you make no sense. I'm not doing this for this heaven of yours that you're talking about. I'm doing this because of I. Look again, the word I do it because I believe in such thing. So it's very difficult to say he's doing it only for a pure thing. Nothing is there. Everything is for something, and he does it for that, and that's what he will get. Even the Muslims, sorry to say, even the Muslims, a lot of people donated money, but they don't donate actually for the sake of Allah, although they say so, but they donate because they want the people to see them donating, and the hadith told us clearly, in the hereafter he will get no reward. A person who died as a shaheed, I mean in our eyes, some of them in the hereafter, the hadith told us, the hadith is sahih, that those people will not get any reward. They say, you died because you fought for the people to say you are brave. He gave his life. But Allah knows what the inside of me and you.
That comes only the intention, right?
Of course. And nobody knows the intention. Yes.
A quick question. You mentioned the Sahih Hadith and some point weak Hadith. And we had from the school life, from our scholars, Sitta, 6 Sahih Hadith is Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Ibn Majah.
Yes.
So you mentioned only Bukhari and Muslim.
Good.
Could you tell why we don't follow the Ibn Majah?
No, it's not that. It's not we don't follow. You're right. It's called the 6 books of Sahih. Right? The 6 books of Sahih are evaluated by the scholars. And they put them 1, 2, 3, 4. So the most authentic book of Sahih is Bukhari. All the scholars, they have no doubt about it. Even Muslim himself. By the way, Imam Muslim was a student of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah. So if you ask him, Imam Muslim, what is the most authentic book on earth, he will say Bukhari. Second one, Muslim. Then, and so on so. That's number 1. Number 2, why we call that the most authentic? Because of the shurut, the conditions. Imam Bukhari, he put certain conditions about his ahadith. He say, this hadith, I will take it as in my book only if it has certain requirements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it has that, yes. Now those conditions are very strict comparing to who? To Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and so on. So his level, the level of authenticity of the Bukhari is higher than the other one. It doesn't mean that the other one don't have Sahih. It doesn't mean that I follow only Bukhari. I'm not saying that. But it's the level. And especially for us, the masses, that we don't know the details of those shurut. I don't know what shurut put Bukhari and Muslim and Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah and Nasai. I don't know. But the scholars in general, they say these are the highest, this is at the highest level of authenticity. That's why they took it. So that's why I said Bukhari and Muslim. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك له الحمد يحيي ويميت وحي لا يموت بيده الخير وإليه المصير وعلى كل شيء قدير اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين جزاكم الله خيرا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله